Meow, and welcome to Haydn Behind the Music Stand. I'm your host, Patty Ryan, and with me is Andres Vera, who is the cellist of Quartet San Francisco. He also teaches all bowed instruments at Sacred Heart Prep High School. He is a managerial music producer for singer-songwriters and produces his own music as well. Outside of all of that, he does contract community development work for the nonprofit Wiki Education that teaches people how to edit Wikipedia, and we'll be talking about his community development work. Welcome, Andres. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Patty. Meow. It's nice. Go ahead.
You think that by having a cat that I would have a better sense of how to say meow, but I just really wasn't sure.
I don't have a cat. I think I've always wanted to have a cat, but taking care of a cat is a lot of work for me personally.
Although between cats and dogs, they definitely are more independent.
That's true.
Is nice. Anyway, Andres, I'm so excited to see your face because it's been so long. We met at San Francisco Conservatory of Music. I can't remember what degree you were in, but when I entered, you were already in Jean-Michel Fontenot's studio, and then I think you did another degree, so we overlapped. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I feel like my entire time that you were there in San Francisco.
Yeah, I was in my second year of my master's degree with Jean-Michel, and then I went into Jennifer Culp's studio to do my professional studies diploma.
That's right.
That is how we know each other.
Yeah, and I just always remember you as being so open and welcoming, the biggest smile on your face, and like so excited to be everywhere. And just anyway, that's why I'm just like, oh, it's been so long.
It has been so long. I can't believe. I mean, it's approaching 9 years.
Oh God, don't stop.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention that for a while, you and I had our own separate cello quartets going on at the same time. So you were in a cello quartet with past guest Matt Linneman. And you guys had such amazing performances, always were playing down in the Castro. It was so much fun to hear you guys. And I remember that you guys even went on tour together.
That's right.
Europe.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did go on tour to Europe together. And I also, of course, remember your cello quartet as well. And we all had our own concerts. And that was amazing that we all had that experience to be in a cello quartet, I think. Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And actually, I think it's a real testament of the studio dynamics, even between each studio, with Jean-Michel's studio and Jennifer's studio, that there was a lot of crossover and that we all felt like we just wanted to play chamber music together and pop music too. So it was just, I think it's a true test of just the atmosphere of that school at that particular time.
It was such an experience to have the cello quartet. I mean, the cello quartet really shaped my playing as a chamber musician.
So, Andres, can you share with me your most insane performance story? And I was joking with you before saying a scandalo.
Yeah, sure. Okay, rewind to 2014. And in 2014, Cello Street Quartet, we had just won one of the State Department's, I guess it's a competition of some sort, against a bunch of Bay Area ensembles or national ensembles to represent the United States in foreign countries as cultural ambassadors. And this was 2 weeks before our tour, and Russia announces the anti-gay propaganda laws.
Oh, God, no.
Yes, and...
No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah. So this is 2 weeks before the tour. Russia announces their anti-gay propaganda laws, and Cello Street Quartet is going on tour to Russia with a male singer who identifies as gay and 3 other gay guys in the cello quartet, and
from San Francisco,
and our token straight girl Gretchen, to support us, right, and to keep us in line, really. If we want to be honest here, she really cracked the whip on us a lot. You have 4 gay guys, 1 straight girl going on tour to Russia, and mind you, Matt Alber, who was the singer, all his songs revolve around gay love.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. It was great. It was a wonderful tour. First, we went to Kosovo, then we went to Hungary, and then we went to Russia for 2 weeks. And in Russia, Matt Albert sang about gay love in, it must have been like 7 different halls all around Russia. We were in Moscow, in Tchaikovsky Hall. In Moscow, Matt Albert singing about gay love. And with the whole entire time, the State Department told us we would be fine, but we were nervous.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
We were nervous. I don't know if Matt Albert was as nervous, but that was to me, that was scandalous.
Yeah.
I was like singing about gay love in Tchaikovsky Hall of all places. That's probably one of the crazy stories that I have. I have plenty others as well. But, that was quite an experience for me, especially my first time in Russia and being scared to be a gay guy in Russia. So,
you guys never did you run into any trouble?
The tour? No. Thank God we didn't run into any trouble.
Was the audience hyper receptive to the message that you were sharing?
Yes. It was beautiful because after concerts, people would come up to us. There was one gay guy who came up to us and thanked us from the bottom of his heart, and that was a really beautiful experience, supporting a local gay guy when these anti-gay propaganda laws just got passed, and the timing was
probably very, very highly meaningful to him.
Oh definitely. I just recall the feelings and the shine in the guy's eyes when he spoke to us and he said, "Thank you for being here. I'm so glad that you guys were here. I knew, I knew, and apparently he knew, I think he knew Matt Albert as a gay singer-songwriter. It's very, I count my blessings every day that San Francisco is, for itself, is just such an open place. And and lots of major cities are. It's a big issue, right now. People just can't be themselves. And we're constantly fighting that still. It's like one of the things that we're fighting, And so to make a difference in that guy's life was really powerful for us.
Absolutely. And I mean, frankly, when you tell me that story, I applaud you from the depths of my soul that you didn't change the program based on this anti-gay propaganda. And that, you stuck to your guns. You said, no, there's a higher moral going on here. We are going to spread love and preach that from the top of the halls of all of Russia to say there's something a little bit wrong with your laws here.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. Amazing that we could say it in Tchaikovsky Hall.
Well, and also the irony, too, is that Tchaikovsky was gay. So, so it's, anyway.
That's right.
Some of their best artists that came from Russia are gay. So how dare, anyway. That's maybe my own personal soapbox moment.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It hurts me when I hear that people are, and I think as you're saying, some places in America, more so specifically than others, we take it for granted, the safety that we've created in certain environments like San Francisco, where we think, everyone has these liberties now, but it's not true. Yeah, still an ongoing fight.
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't really completely feel comfortable holding someone's hand, even in San Francisco sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. Some people might. I don't. I am hesitant still because there's still hate in San Francisco. Even in San Francisco, the most progressive city, but granted, we have it way better off here, places like Cameroon, all over the world. It's so but I always mention Cameroon because I just did a little bit of writing about Cameroon. I see. That's a place that, you will get jailed for being gay. So anyways, thank you.
Well, no, thank you for sharing that story. I did not necessarily expect it to be that profound of a statement.
Oh, thanks. So, yeah. I feel lucky.
Andres, are you ready for some Spitfire questions?
I am ready for some Spitfire questions.
Let's do it. Mahler or Bruckner?
Mahler.
Debussy or Ravel?
Debussy.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Appetizer or dessert?
Appetizer.
Ooh, okay. Sparkling or still water?
Still.
Fan favorite question. Alternate universe musical instrument?
Piano.
Oh, okay. Have you ever played piano, or is it...
I play at the piano, but I wish that I was proficient at the piano.
Right, gotcha.
Really, just play anything on the piano.
Yeah. No, it's a gorgeous and very versatile instrument.
Agreed, yeah.
Yeah. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Pandemic guilty pleasure?
Patty, you're putting me on the spot here.
Take your time. Take your time.
Some spitfire questions here.
That's okay.
Shopping for clothes now.
Oh,
That was just
nice.
like that's been my most recent ones. I got a subscription to Stitch Fix.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. That's all good. I did similar things. I started buying nail polish for no reason.
Oh,
Just yeah. Favorite professor shout out?
cellist Barbara Worth. She's a teacher at the Conservatory. Love her. I studied with her after Jennifer and Jean-Michel. I decided, I had been 5 years since I graduated, and I basically decided to take lessons with Barbara Worth. And she has made my technique just way better than it's ever been. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you need that person that just sits you down and says, here you go, do some reps of whatever, and just cleans up.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Most inspired musical hero of any genre?
Whitney Houston.
Oh, yes, the queen herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wish she was still alive.
Yeah.
Her voice is just, she's a force.
And just her diva-ness, too. Like, in a positive way, saying
Oh,
diva.
yeah,
Just
totally.
so much presence, and, just, wonderful.
I know.
Yeah.
That's all you can really,
Yeah.
you can say about her.
Right. Most transformative performance experience?
Cello Quartet went to Hungary, and in Budapest they have the School of the Deaf and Blind. And Cello Quartet got off the plane and went straight to play for the School of the Deaf and Blind. We're all jet lagged, and we play for the kids, and they're like, "Oh, wonderful!" Blah blah blah. And they start and they clap, and they said, "Well, now we let the kids sing for you."
Oh, okay. Chills are already creeping up.
And you have this group of these kids who are deaf and blind singing for us, and we were all in tears, And not to also, one of the kids was deaf and blind,
Okay.
and we brought our instruments to him so he could touch the instrument and feel the vibrations.
Oh, that's very special. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that was transformative.
Oh, for sure. Wow. You have some good stories.
Yeah, not the old. There's a bunch of other ones. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Thank
it's all
you.
good.
Yeah.
Desert island piece of any genre?
Brandenburg Concerto No. 5.
Wait, I'm blanking.
With the harpsichord solo.
God, I'm blinking still. All I'm hearing is either 3 or 6 in my head right now.
Number 5 has the giant harpsichord solo in the middle.
It's fine. I'll just.
Man, let's
just savor some misery.
Yeah, go ahead.
Of course. Oh my god, I'm so stupid.
I'm so stupid too because I completely forgot how the beginning goes, but it's my favorite piece. I can listen to it over and over again.
No, it's great. Other than me forgetting about how this piece goes. Yeah, I mean, some of the Brandenburg concertos, especially the more popular ones, kind of get a bad rap in some ways because they're performed a lot, or maybe student groups perform them, so they're not quite stylized, or, et cetera, et cetera. But when you take off those kinds of filters that are clouding what the piece really is, and you listen to it with fresh perspectives or fresh ears or whatever you want to call it, it is such a wonderful piece of music. And it's so fresh, so innovative, and a good time.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the thing that I love listening to it from different ensembles, and even when it's not like done in the stylistic, in quotation, stylistic way, you learn ways that you want to perform it. And I know how I want to perform it. Or like, it's great to like choose all the things that you like about other performances, and even the ones that are not stylistic, you can always get something from that.
Yes,
as well, and that piece we've been playing since we were kids, and we've known it.
I'm just laughing that I still forgot about it.
Me too. I can't believe I still forgot about it. I couldn't even sing you the beginning of it. I was like, I have it there too. We've played the filtered versions or the watered down versions
or
of it.
The wedding music version.
The wedding music versions, of those, and they never do it justice.
Yeah.
But you remember why you love the piece. I was like, oh, I love this piece,
Yeah, totally. Well, anyway, Andres, you have completed and survived the Spitfire questions. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yay!
You didn't think you needed that in your life, did you? All right, Andres, can you walk me through your musical origin story? How did you discover music? How did you discover the cello? When did you decide that that was going to be your career going forward, profession? And then walk us through your scholastic life up until where you are today and any current projects that you're looking forward to.
So I started playing cello when I was 7 years old, and my mom took me to a concert, and I must have said to her, oh, I want to play that. and play the cello. I had started playing the piano first when I was a kid, when I was 5. And then I saw the cello and I was like, oh, I want to play in an orchestra, you know. And then the other part of it as well is that my sister was playing cello as well.
Oh, okay.
And I always kind of had this sort of envy for my sister as well. I love my sister very much.
She's older than you.
Yeah, she's older. She's 6 years older than me.
Gotcha.
I love her to pieces, and she's a sense of moral authority in our family as well. And so, so as a kid, I was always kind of like, I want to do what my sister does, you know. And so watching the cello in the orchestra and seeing my sister playing the cello as well, and that's how I started playing the cello. And I'm lucky that my parents put me in private lessons right away, and that the elementary school that I went to had a string orchestra, and the teacher of the orchestra was a private cello teacher. And from then on, I went into arts middle school, and then I went into an arts high school, all in Miami, Florida. And when I was 17, I was asked to join the Miami Symphony Orchestra to perform in the cello section with them.
Wow.
And prior to that, when I was 14 or 15 years old, I was playing in a side-by-side orchestra called Ars Flores. Mm-hmm. And they basically had a professional cellist sit on the outside, and they had a up-and-coming cellist sit on the inside. And I was fortunate enough to be one of the upcoming cellists sitting on the inside, and that's how I got exposure to orchestral playing when I was 14 years old. Also feel so lucky. I did side-by-sides with New World Symphony Orchestra when I was a kid. So that led me to playing with the Miami Symphony Orchestra. Then I went to University of Miami for my bachelor's degree in cello performance. During that time, I was still playing in the Miami Symphony Orchestra. I was also playing with the Symphony of the Americas in the South Florida region as well. Fantastic orchestras. While I was in school studying to become a cellist. And then I auditioned for the Conservatory, for San Francisco Conservatory, and did my master's degree at the Conservatory. And I was flying back and forth to play with the Miami Symphony Orchestra. Right. That was quite an experience. I feel so lucky I got to do that.
When did you know that you wanted to go and become a professional cellist? What was that tipping point?
It was the thing that I did the best as a kid. And personally speaking, being gay and growing up in Miami and discovering myself and who I am or who I was, or, you know, I'm still figuring out who I am, you know, and especially then in my youth, cello was a part of my identity. It was the thing that I did the best. And being gay was sort of this, and also being gay was kind of, I would say, easier for me than most kids in hindsight, because my parents were not against me being gay. They were mostly afraid for me being gay. But I kind of used the cello as a sort of stake in my identity so that I can have a support system, so that I can have some structure in my life. And I wouldn't say that I was the best student in my other things that I did. I often say I got away with murder, but don't worry, I didn't kill anyone. But but it's like I feel like throughout all the turmoil of being gay and like, oh my gosh, how am I going to live my life? And can I do this? I feel embarrassed. All through it, I was fairly confident in my cello playing skills, and it was fun to work on that. And I remember a friend of mine telling me, oh, it's the thing you do best. Stick with it, and get through. You do this really well,
To me, it almost sounds like, tell me if I'm wrong, but that music and cello being your identity and tool to showcase what is inside you, but the classical music community overall was a world of acceptance and feeding you to keep going, right? It was encouraging you to continue to find your best self within the instrument and within your musical vision and voice.
Yeah, that's totally accurate. And
in a world where it's a little bit unsure how much is accepting of who you are.
Yes, totally. I felt that when I was asked to play a job or when I was asked to play this gig and this concert, there was no question about being gay. No one cared.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. It was just how well you played,
Exactly.
and how much fun you can have.
But that is, I know that, of course, in our community right now, there's a lot of talk about representation and how there hasn't been a lot of representation of certain, especially of particular groups of race and regions and whatnot. But at the same time, if you boil down classical music, it doesn't matter who or what or where you come from. Music is music at the end of the day. And
that's right.
And I think that's where, again, in our community, we've seen this dissonance of, wait, but music is supposed to be expression of everything. And then why haven't we been doing, anyway, so I'll put that can of worms to the side, but at the root of it, it's an equalizer. Everyone has a place, everyone has a say, and at the end of the day, we're just communicating music, and it doesn't matter what you look like or where you come from.
I agree with you. I want to add, I think it goes in line with what you're saying, is that, well, I want to open that can of worms.
Okay.
Because I feel that we're really experiencing some really unprecedented times in terms of being a musician. There is inequality even in the music world, and there's inequality in classical music, and there's so much turmoil happening right now that whenever I get the chance to play music with someone, it's really cathartic. As I'm sure you know. In terms of inequality, though, there's inequality in pay, there's inequality in access, there's inequality in who is getting jobs, there's inequality in representation, there's inequality in lessons. Oh my gosh, it's just heartbreaking. I feel that all kids who want to learn how to play a musical instrument need to get cello lessons or violin lessons with a one-on-one instructor. And part of it is that it's not affordable to a lot of kids. And a part of
commitment too.
It's a time commitment for a lot of kids as well. And then a lot of it is sometimes a teacher can't afford to take a kid at a lower pay, can't afford to take a kid who can pay less. It's just so saddening. Anyways, I don't know. That was a can of worms.
I know. It's so tempting to keep prodding at it. But
sure.
I think overall what I intended to say, though, is that the idealized version of classical music is everything golden of what we talked about, everything being equal, everything being, but the reality of it is this outside, the business side of selling music. And that's where I think there's so much. Anyway, because we are still talking about you. I just went on a tangent.
No, yeah, but the equalizing happens when we make sound together.
That's absolutely right. Thank you so much, Andre, for saying that. But that's so true. The equalizing is when we play together and when we play for people.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. We're getting all kinds of profound up in here.
Totally. Yeah, it's good.
So that was one question, was just trying to understand what was that tipping point for you to go into classical music professionally, which we turned into this very profound statement.
Sure.
But then you left off with your introduction to San Francisco Conservatory of Music, doing your graduate studies there.
Yes, I did. I was doing my graduate studies at the Conservatory, and the time at the Conservatory was a very, personally, was a very tumultuous tumultuous time for me, faced with the prospects of going out into, it's the final years of going into schooling, and I was like, oh, wow, what am I going to do now? And that's when I started the cello quartet. And I had approached Gretchen, Matt, and Adam about starting this thing and doing gigs and giving concerts and stuff. I'm grateful to all three of them for that experience. That also opened me into the world of management and of ensemble management. And I really haven't played with any orchestras, really played with many orchestras since then. Forgive me, that's not true. I've gigged in in a few orchestras around town. But
your Miami gig, how did that end?
So Miami Symphony, what happened was that there were some financial issues and I had to just stop playing for them. And I won't get deeper into that.
Of course.
But I'm glad to know that the Miami Symphony is still going strong right now. After I got my professional diploma, my professional studies diploma, which I like to call my professional gift certificate sometimes, I met a guy.
Oh, yeah, you did.
After, during my professional diploma, I met a guy, and being with him, I decided to stay in San Francisco because that was a fork in the road. I was like, either go back. I was thinking about auditioning for New World Symphony so that I can do the orchestral track and, maybe become an orchestral cellist, or I would stay in San Francisco and figure it out. And I stayed in San Francisco because I met a guy, and it was a really awesome experience. I freelanced for 2 years and auditioned for Quartet San Francisco. And then I was accepted to join Quartet San Francisco, which was awesome. I feel like that was a stamp right there. I'm a cellist.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, also, as many of us know, and I've tried to express on the podcast in the past, it's very difficult to even know or find a string quartet opening, especially for your instrument. It's so nebulous as to how that all happens.
You're totally right. And I'm just going to say and add, there is a shortage of orchestral jobs.
Right.
And there's a shortage of string quartet jobs. There's a lot of players, not enough string quartets or not enough resources around to fund these ensembles. That's a rabbit hole we can talk about too. But yeah, I feel so honored that I can be part of an ensemble. To me,
congratulations as well, by the way.
Thank you.
Said that yet.
Oh, thanks. It's been 6 years since 2015, and it's definitely had its ups and downs.
But what string quartet hasn't? I mean,
exactly. Let's be real here. So 2015, I got the job with Quartet San Francisco. Quartet San Francisco basically lives in the non-classical world. We excel in tango. We play lots of jazz tunes. We do some improvisation, all non-classical. Bossa Nova. Thank you. Bossa Nova. You do more about my quartet than I do.
No, but of a different non-classical.
All non-classical genres. Yes. We're trying to bring the string quartet into a new age.
Gotcha.
We know string quartets have been playing the standards, for the past 300 years. And we sort of feel that, okay, something else needs to come about. So we play, there's this composer by the name of Gordon Goodwin. He primarily writes for jazz bands. So we do jazz band music for string quartet, which is so fun. The way he's written it, it's I feel like I have, I'm a trombone player in the string quartet, which is a lot of fun. The quartet also plays, like I mentioned, a lot of tango. Tango is a really big part of our repertoire because Jeremy Cohen is a tango boss. He really plays tango really beautifully. Also, Jeremy also is just a fabulous violinist and really just brings lots of love to his instrument and just lots of passion and sing. He's an amazing singer with his violin. I work to sing like him on the cello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can I reflect just briefly on it? When you were mentioning how, I mean, and I'm in a string quartet that does play all the standards, the classics, Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven, etc., etc. And of course, we all grew up and love this music. But when you're describing Quartet San Francisco's place in the realm of chamber music, I was thinking, that's actually what you're doing, is trying to elevate the string quartet and open up a new avenue for it, rather than if continuing to play all these great pieces that have stood the test of time. It's sort of like spinning wheels in some senses, rather than actually maybe taking the next step to say, hey, we're going to try to do something a little bit different, but with the same instrumentation, and let's see what happens.
You got it right. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. That's been the mission of the ensemble for 20 years, is just to introduce the string quartet to a completely new realm that we're living in. We're in the 21st century. Hopefully our work will lead to more jobs for string quartets. Where I think, I hope, and I also hope that string quartets play more big band jazz music and play, like Turtle Island String Quartet. Turtle Island String Quartet did a really good job of introducing a string quartet to jazz and improvisation. So like them, and we want to open it to tango, and we want to open it to salsa, and we want to open it to bossa nova, like you mentioned. Samba music.
I was about to say samba, actually.
Yeah, samba. Like, there's a great piece that Jeremy wrote it's called Guamba, and it has such great samba qualities to it. We also play like cartoon music as well. Like, it's wonderful. So
I do want to say, just because in defense of my argument just a second ago, there is also a place for us to continue to chip away and continue the traditions of the past too. So it's not that one has to be exclusively one or the other, and I don't think that's our message here anyway. I just want to clarify that there's more space for more imagination.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. And what we like to say is we primarily live in the non-classical world, but we follow the tradition of Beethoven, Mozart, and Haydn. We were trained in that tradition. And so we bring the same sort of passion that we all have for those wonderful string quartets, to non-classical music. And you're totally right. There's room, come on over, there's room. And, we always say we can also play the Beethoven, Mozart string quartets bomb. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
We pride ourselves in that.
Nice. Are there other projects that you're looking forward to in the future?
Yeah, sure. Oh, one of my other projects has been becoming a producer, a singer-songwriter. Beautiful singer. His name's Adam Ward. Adam Ward is a countertenor in Chanticleer and also is a brilliant songwriter. And I sort of took on a role during the pandemic of helping him produce an album. At the same time, right before the pandemic started, I was also producing my own videos and some of my own performances for cello and piano. And then I decided, well, let me produce some of Adam's stuff as well. So right now I have some sort of production projects in the lines to kind of managerially produce a singer-songwriter and produce a whole album of Adam's songs. Someday soon in the future, I already did one. We released like 5 or 6 songs. So now we want to do even more.
That's really exciting. And
Thank you.
What a wonderful project to do during a pandemic.
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And of course, your work with community development. Let's touch on that in part 2. Is that all right with you?
That is totally good. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Are you ready to take a break though?
I am.
Okay. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. So, Andres, tell me about what you do with your contract community development with your nonprofit.
Sure. So, I'll go into a little bit of a backstory. Like I said, you remember I mentioned that starting the cello quartet introduced me to management and running a nonprofit, or like the beginnings of running a nonprofit organization. By no means, cello quartet was not a nonprofit organization, but we were fiscally sponsored. And thank God for that that experience. I'm really thankful also to the ensemble, again, for supporting me in that experience as well. And that opened a whole nother set of doors for me in terms of making a living. So fast forward, to 2019, and there happens to be a position that opens up in the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus Orchestra. The San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus had a cello position for a concert open up. Who, I'll give a quick aside, Michael Morgan, who recently passed away, is responsible for introducing me to the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. God bless his soul. I am so rest in peace. I'm so thankful to him for introducing me to the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus because it brought me into my community development work. So, backtracking just a little bit, I played a whole bunch of recording sessions and concerts of this beautiful album called Unbreakable. It's basically 100 years of gay history for chorus and orchestra. And I got involved with them more and more. I started to have a community at the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. And I still have a community with the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. They're pillars of San Francisco and of gay society all over the world because there are gay men's choruses all over the world. Anyways, then a position opened up in their advancement department at the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. And before that, I asked if I could do some volunteer advancement work for them so that I could learn about fundraising and keeping track of donors and building a community, how they do it, and learn from them. And I was a volunteer. So while I was playing and gigging, I was also a volunteer in the advancement department. And then eventually that led to a job. There was an opening that they needed someone to fill. I was the interim advancement associate at the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. And I worked for them for a year. And I learned about Salesforce. Salesforce is a constituent relationship manager. And it's basically a way to keep track of your sales, keep track of your donors. Customer relationship manager is another name. That's what CRM stands for. And Salesforce happens to be really good at it. And so I learned how to use Salesforce, and it was quite an experience for me in the beginning steps of essentially cultivating relationships so that you can grow your donor base. And so I was let go. This was December 2019. I parted ways from the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. I worked for them from January 2019 to December 2019. It was really wonderful experience. I learned so much. I have a lot of gratitude towards them. Luckily, I was let go December 2019 because I immediately got on unemployment. And then fast forward to March of 2020 and the pandemic hit. And I was already on unemployment. So I thank God my support system was in place. Thank God for the unemployment. During that time that I was working at the Gay Men's Chorus, I was also doing contract credit card reconciling for this other organization called Wiki Education Foundation. And I started working for them. I was just reconciling their finances. I had been doing fundraising work for a year with the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. A great thing about the classical world is that I feel like we span all financial cross-sections of society. We engage with people who have lots of resources. We engage people who have even more resources. We engage with people who don't have as many resources. We engage with all sorts of parts of society on the financial spectrum. And, it's part of our lives as musicians to develop relationships. This is just what we do. And so community development is just another way of saying advancement associate. It's another way of saying development associate. It's another way of saying fundraising. And also when I say fundraising, you also say friend raising. I am developing my community around the cause of Wiki Education Foundation, who teaches people how to edit Wikipedia, and attempting to and working to grow the donor base of this organization, and essentially and grow the family of this organization as well. The key to any sort of successful project or nonprofit or corporation or anything is making sure that you can grow the family. And that's a lesson that I take from working at the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. And I do my darnest to apply that to music as well. Growing your family is key to finding the support that you need in whatever field you're in. And so I basically came up with this term community development because giving concerts is a form of community development.
Yep.
And for me personally, it's such a powerful statement to support this organization that is doing great things in open education resources and teaching people how to edit Wikipedia. Throughout the pandemic and leading up until the pandemic and throughout the last 4 years, Wikipedia has been a strong and unbreaking force and source of information because it's an open source platform, that people can see what's being edited and what has been edited. And so if someone is putting false information on Wikipedia, everyone can see it,
Right.
And if you're not sourcing your information accurately on Wikipedia, people will know. And the powerful part about Wikipedia is that your information has to be sourced from a secondary source, in order for it to be valid. And people see that. I find this organization super amazing right now is because they work with about 16,000 students per year on how to edit Wikipedia, accomplishing 3 things: adding content to Wikipedia, teaching them how to find accurate sources of information. They're increasing the diversity in Wikipedia by engaging with more women, which is super important. Women lack representation on Wikipedia. Women contributors to Wikipedia, they're not represented. And even information about women on Wikipedia is not as prominent as information about men.
Right.
So, and in addition, Wiki Education is also increasing the equity of Wikipedia. I think I just mentioned that by including more diverse groups of people and getting more types of classes to take our courses. So, sorry, let me back up a little bit. Essentially, Wiki Education teaches people how to edit Wikipedia. And specifically, we engage with university programs and colleges around the United States and Canada. And rather than the student writing a term paper, they write a Wikipedia article.
I see.
And so that's how they add more content to Wikipedia. And rather than just their teacher reading their term paper, the whole world reads their content. And so there's more pressure to do a good job, about the stuff that you're adding to Wikipedia. That's Wiki Education in a nutshell. It's super powerful right now, I feel, is because we need to teach our students and our young people how to spot disinformation.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, you can't say that enough.
And Wiki Education is giving college and university students the tools to do that by learning how to edit Wikipedia. It's amazing. Really, really, really amazing.
When you say students, what age range can I sign up and do Wiki Education?
Yes, you can. So you can just go to wikiedu.org and you can sign up on our dashboard to take a course about how to edit Wikipedia. Anyone can take the class. It's a free course, self-guided, and it's super, super, super effective at teaching you how to edit Wikipedia.
Or also probably to look at Wikipedia and see what sources, just understand how that source works, how it functions.
Exactly. And I understand how sources are put in. One of the things that I learned from working in this organization is just basically to go look at the sources, And the thing about Wikipedia is that, it has lots of information on it. And yes, you should not believe everything you read on the internet. You go check the sources, okay? And if you go to Wikipedia, some articles, not all of them, but some of them, you can go scroll down and see the sources, and the sources might be duds, And so then that teaches you, this source is not working anymore. This is not really accurate information. So you know, and that's how Wikipedia works. That's the power of this open source platform.
Yeah. How long has Wiki Education been around?
Wiki Education has been around 6 years now, but the program has been around for 10 years.
Oh, well, like Wikipedia has been around.
Oh, no.
Oh, what do you mean the program?
Forgive me. The Wiki Education student program has been around for 10 years. That's the program that engages with universities and colleges, but the organization has been around for about 6 to 7 years.
Okay. So what does Wiki Education need to sustain itself as a nonprofit organization?
Sure. Wiki Education needs people interested in stopping disinformation to become part of our family and to become a part of our community. I believe personally that disinformation is one of the number one threats to society right now. And that's why I'm so passionate about Wiki Education, is because giving the tools to young people on how to identify misinformation and disinformation is crucial to us having a democracy in the future. This is my personal feeling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Wiki Education needs to grow its community and to grow its donor base. And we want more people to get involved with us, to take our classes, take our course online. It's free, wikiedu.org. Also, my email address is andres@wikiedu.org, and you can email me there. Happy to point anyone in the right direction for that part. Now, let's not forget also that I'm a concertizing cellist as well.
Of course.
I can do all... the great thing about being a musician is that I believe that we can do anything. And so, Wiki Education needs to grow its donor base in order to continue expanding its impact amongst students. You know, right now, a staff of 11 manages 16,000 students.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's, well, and also sparse for that high volume of customers, or if I wouldn't even say customers, but
students, contributors.
Yes,
it's all free.
Yeah.
It's all free also. We get outside funding from foundations and stuff. And so, but this is free for the students that partake. So the teacher assigns the students a Wikipedia article rather than a term paper. So that's how we're able to have an exponential effect, you know?
I see.
And so when we can increase the amount of staff that are with us, and we need Wikipedia experts, we need people who can really help us manage this onslaught of information, onslaught in a good way of information, we can continue to grow our impact. You know, it'd be great to be working with 30,000 students per year. It'd be great to be working with more HBCUs. You know, right now we're trying to focus on more Black history. We're trying to focus more on gay history. We're trying to focus on Native American history. Oh gosh, we're trying to include more people, you know, into our knowledge base. Because if so far society has only seen the perspective of white men. So we need to now have more female contributors, gay contributors, Black contributors, Native American contributors, Asian contributors.
It makes me think the number of times that we read the news and are distraught at what's going on from both sides.
Sure.
And always thinking, well, there's nothing I can really do about it. I vote and that's about it, you know. But there actually is something that we can do about it. The way to fight back is to fight back disinformation, as what you're saying.
Sure.
And it's the simplest way of just fixing a Wikipedia article or providing more information from a unique perspective that has a secondary source. Is a small way of fighting back.
Sure.
That is within, I think, everyone's control if they choose to do so.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I always come back to the point that the way that we solve the world's problems is to educate people. And that's why I find Wiki Education so powerful, is because they educate people on how to edit Wikipedia and how to identify disinformation or how to identify inaccurate sources of information.
I don't know what else to add to that, because that sounds like a very, very strong message that we all know, but don't know necessarily how to do so, how to fight back.
Yes. That's right.
So thank you so much for sharing and for working for this organization and for sharing what Wiki Education really does.
Thank you.
And also, as you're saying, it does need help, as every organization does. I mean, I think this one, as you say, has a very important and strong message.
I'll add this to, I guess, to wrap up, the Wiki Education part of the talk, like I said earlier, I always come back to education. Now, the way that music gets involved with Wiki Education is that I hope that people can put together that music allows us to reflect. Music gives you the space to reflect. And I hope that in the future someday, people can understand or reflect on the onslaught of information that they are receiving. And maybe just ask the question, is this from an accurate source of information? And, is it possible that there's disinformation going on here? Is it possible that I'm being misinformed? And I want people to just always be Yes, it's okay to question everything. I think there's also going too far and question. Right. You should question everything. Yes. But, have healthy conversations with people on...
Right. That's important.
Yeah, distinction. There's a distinction there because, you can question everything and then you just go to a rabbit hole and then you don't believe anything. But you can also... It's okay to trust scientists. It's okay to trust authorities. You want to trust subject matter experts. And
the thing is, I'm sorry to interrupt, but scientists are constantly scrutinized by each other.
That's right.
And so when you look for science-based articles and things, you look for the articles that have been approved by the science community.
That's right.
Part of what you're saying is you can rely on certain communities like the scientific community.
Sure. Yeah, you can. And to that point, Wikipedia is scrutinized as well. There are volunteers on Wikipedia that look for recent edits on Wikipedia, and they are looking out for disinformation. And there are people who are keeping track of articles that are commonly edited or to a certain extent, graffitied, so that, or being deleted or someone's changing the words on an article. And there is someone out there who is watching that article and making sure that that information is accurate. It's a powerful tool. And I don't know, the way I think about it is that if we continue to be disinformed and misinformed, I'm pessimistic about having a career as a musician. Because if people are just being disinformed and misinformed, that really starts to tear at the fabric of society and of our democracy. And
at the height of democracy is culture and arts.
Exactly.
So when you lose the stability of a true democracy,
That's right.
You lose culture and you lose art and you lose freedoms like that.
Yeah.
And that's the preciousness that we, targets us as artists ourselves.
Sure. And that's why I'm passionate about Wiki Education, is because of this thing. And that's why I'm passionate about building the community of Wiki Education, because it goes hand in hand with my desire to also play music and concertize, because if you don't have a stable society, it's hard to make a living as a musician. Yeah, well, if God forbid society is not stable, I'll still be playing cello,
You just might not hear it.
People might not hear it, and we won't be able to make a living from it.
Yeah.
I want to keep on concertizing. I want to keep on traveling, and I want to keep on giving concerts, and I want to keep on earning a living from it as well.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for all of the work you do, and also for educating me about Wiki Education. Again, it's a way for us to fight disinformation. And I really hope that more people know about it after listening to this episode and check it out for themselves. May I ask you 2 final questions?
You may.
What is one piece of advice you would tell your younger self about entering and pursuing a music career?
Plan ahead.
Ooh, okay. Could you elaborate? Yeah.
Basically, I wish that 14-year-old Andres had just maybe thought about developing other skills sooner. Also, I wish 14-year-old Andres concentrated a little bit more. concentrate, focus. I definitely wish that 14-year-old Andres was a little bit more focused.
Totally. And that's part of the like charm and also part of the flaw of this question is that, for your kids, you're just going through life, but at the same time, it's also like, it's for the next generation to consider.
Yeah. I mean, also another one piece of advice is don't burn any bridges.
Yeah, that's a huge one. You never know when someone's gonna be right there at the right time at the right moment.
Yeah. That goes in hand with the golden rule as well. There's definitely many times in my life where I wish I'm like, man, there's that golden, oh God, I messed up. Oh, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like making sure that you establish and keep your relationships. And so.
Yeah, thank you. And the second question, as we enter a seemingly-ish post-pandemic world, what elements of your musical pandemic life would you want to continue and what would you want to shed? I'm assuming, though, that you would want to continue your producing.
Oh my God, totally. Yeah. That's a whole nother world that's starting to open up. One of my pandemic projects was to learn how to play the double bass.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's learning the double bass is amazing. It's such a beautiful instrument. One thing that I want to shed is not being confident in myself. I want to shed the notion that I can't learn how to be myself. There are parts of me that I didn't like, and there's things that I don't like about myself. And it's like, okay, well, now I need to learn how to love those things about myself and learning to deal. So shedding lacking confidence in the things that I do.
Wow. What powerful answers. Thank you so much for all of what you've contributed to this episode today.
Thank you so much.
Are there any platforms or websites for our listeners to learn more about you or any upcoming projects?
Yes. So my website is andresveracello.com, and feel free to reach out to me at andresveracello@gmail.com. Also check out quartetsanfrancisco.com because Quartet San Francisco is awesome. And that's it. Happy to talk to you about Wiki Education. Happy to talk to you about Quartet San Francisco. Happy to talk to you about producing.
Amazing. And if you enjoyed listening, be sure to smash that subscribe button wherever you're tuning into this podcast. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts while you're at it. It doesn't need to be long. Your review will help others search for the podcast because of its crazy algorithms, and you'll make Sushi's day. And it's free. Make sure to share this podcast with your friends and family as well. If you want to level up, you can always become part of the Haydn Behind the Music Stand family by donating what you will on our Patreon page at patreon.com/Haydn Music Stand. Our social media handle for Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is at Haydn Music Stand, and we'd love to hear from you at our email, haydnmusicstand@gmail.com. Didn't recognize the piece we discussed during the episode? No worries! There's a Spotify playlist with all the music discussed for your convenience. The link is in the description of each episode. Andres, thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest today. I had a blast reconnecting with you, and let's do this in the future sometime soon.
Thank you so much, Patty.
Yeah. And thank you for listening. Sushi, say bye.
Meow? Oh, I'm waiting for you.
No, I was just trying to winding up to like, how do I, okay. Meow, and welcome to Haydn Behind the Music Stand. Is that stupid? How do you say it? I was like...
Meow! Just go... Meow!
Okay, let me try again. Sorry.
Okay.